Welcome to Inspire Campfire, a podcast where ordinary people tell their stories of extraordinary adventure. These are campfire stories meant to inspire the rest of us to light the fire within, get outside, follow our dreams, and return to tell our own stories. Ready? Let's strike the match.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Scott Wurzbacher, and today we're going to talk about how the shared experience of an epic adventure can create a bond that lasts a lifetime. And with that in mind, we're exploring how adventure might just be the perfect way to tie the knot and start a marriage with a connection that feels truly unbreakable. Our guest is Mal, the founder and original elopement photographer of Vows with Views, a company with a vision to inspire couples through what they call an epic honeylope adventure. These are full-service, adventure-focused glamping trips designed for couples who want to combine their elopement and honeymoon by celebrating their love in some of the most breathtaking landscapes in the country. Mal has an incredible story of her own, filled with adventure, passion, and a journey that led to her combining her love for the outdoors, photography, and helping engaged couples bring their wildest wedding dreams to life. She radiates energy and creativity, and I cannot wait to share her inspiring journey with you today. Mal, welcome to the campfire.
Hey, Scott, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. We had such a fun conversation just last week, I think it was, and your energy is just so infectious. Like, I just can't wait to talk about this. Let's just kick this right off and go right to the heart of Vows with Views. Tell us what Vows with Views is.
Vows with Views is an adventure honeylope company.
Nice.
So a honeylope is it's a word I made up a few years ago, and it's kind of like a blending of your elopement and your honeymoon trip into one kind of like outdoor, memorable, immersive, transformational experience that you get to have together to celebrate that
I love
kind
it.
of milestone in life.
So help me, we're going to dig into this in detail, but help me kind of set the stage for listeners a little bit. What does a honeylope trip look like with you?
Yeah, so we have a few different ones that we offer, but basically we have our weekender, which is kind of like the signature 3-day package trip that we do. And that's basically one destination. So I have this cute little base camp Bambi Airstream that I know a zillion really beautiful places throughout the Southwest desert and the Southwest Colorado mountain range and the Sand Mountains out here. And basically I just take Bambi, I set up camp for you. I have an amazing officiant that works with me, and together we set up camp in this beautiful location. Then the couple comes, and the first night we get to just like sit around the fire with them and kind of like go through where they're at and why we love it, and share kind of like our favorite things to do. And just share a meal together and get to know each other, so that the next day on their elopement, they're not hanging out with two strangers. They're actually hanging out with like now friends. And so then the next day, is their big elopement day. So I usually put together some sort of like full day experience that goes, sometimes we even wake up for sunrise and do like first looks in the spot that I want to take them out and about in my truck. And then usually we always do the ceremony at sunset. So we'll go throughout the day, this big, I usually take them up to like somewhere, one of my favorite spots in the area that they chose to elope with us. And then we come back down, we celebrate around the fire. We do I love cooking around the fire. So I usually, we cook for them and share stories, and they just celebrate their marriage that night. And then the next day, for their first day of marriage, we always do this thing called, it's not super creative, but we just call it the post-elope adventure day. Straightforward. It's your first day of like married life, and we want you to really do something that is you outside of maybe something new together, something that I think, or maybe it's just something that's challenging together, something that will really push you guys into this like space of like this bond building thing that I think is really important. Like you guys just tied the knot. Like your commitment is now until forever. So let's start it off like with day one, just having this like stronger bond than you could have had before.
Yeah, I love it. So it kind of came about through photography, and we're going to get into that. But obviously photography is such a visual experience. And here we are on the podcast. Some people might be watching us on YouTube, but most people are just listening. This is like a very, audible experience. There's no visuals involved. And I think like for people to really get the full understanding of what it is that you all do, you need to go to vowswithviews.com and check out some of the imagery, because I think that really helps to bring it all together. But given that we don't have that right here on this podcast, can you help describe some of these places that you call your favorite places? Like where are some of these landscapes that people will go on these honey elope trips?
Yeah. So I spent like several years kind of like touring, not touring, dirt bagging around the Wild West, and I'm finding my favorite camp spots, finding my favorite locations. A lot of these ended up being, now that I'm like 5 years into it, post-COVID, I have picked northern Arizona, southwest or southeast Utah, and then up here in southwest Colorado as kind of my three hubs that I love to show people. And so in the desert, we're doing like a lot of red rocks. Obviously, the Heartlands of Sedona is my biggest desert spot. And then up into Zion, Moab, and then here in the Telluride area. And so we have mountains, we have deserts, we have alpine, cracks, sandstone, granite, everything.
Yeah.
Waterfalls. There's really nothing we don't have. And then in the winters we actually have Thailand. I forgot to mention that. We do go to Thailand. We can talk about that later. But
Thailand, and that's kind of new for you guys, right?
Yes. Yeah. We just kind of launched our first elopement there last year and are booking a full season for the first time this coming season. So
yeah, it's amazing. Absolutely stunning. And I guess one of the things we didn't really talk about is you're creating these adventures, but there is a lot of photography involved along the way. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So that's my bread and butter. Like I went to school. That's what I have my degree in. That's where where the vision all started and where it was. Yeah, where Vows with Views originated. I was basically an adventure photographer. I was not doing elopements at all. I was basically out of college. I had one kind of like vision and dream as I guess when you're graduating with a fine art degree, it's like, what are you going to do with that? And you're like, I don't know. I'm going to be an epic photographer.
I love it.
So I told my dad. He was like, okay, Mal.
I love it. The part of this is like, as part of this experience, people are going to come back with like a full set of amazing amazing wedding photos, essentially.
Yeah. And that's kind of a byproduct of the experience, because I wasn't really ever setting out to be this wedding photographer, and that's not really it is for me. It's me getting to document these experiences and these memories and these transformational like milestones in people's lives. Like that's kind of where, like, if I go back to where the vision was as a photographer in the beginning stages, like post graduation 15 years ago, something like that. The vision has never changed. I always wanted to be an epic photographer, and I always wanted to take epic photos, and it kind of just led into this creative space. And that's super, super fun for me.
I love it. I love how you've combined these passions, and I want to get into your story, but a few more questions, like on just the experience itself that people can expect. Talk to me about clothing. And what I mean specifically is, like, in your photos, I mean, people are wearing wedding dresses and suits, but they're doing cool stuff. Like, talk me through like the behind the scenes of like clothing and these adventures.
Yeah. So because we do different, like there's definitely some that I mean, we have girls who are putting on their harnesses under their dresses and we're getting on ropes. Like it's fun. It's like really fun stuff. But yeah, like most of the time we are packing out. There's some spots that I can get to in my truck that aren't too far away from like where we can get out. But a lot of these locations definitely require a little bit more effort. And then even if like, you know, we can get to somewhere close, like there's still like, we're going to have to like get changed up there if we're going to be putting on harnesses and everything like that.
Yeah. So, but I guess like, what is that like for your guests? I mean, you know, putting on a wedding dress, putting on a suit and like, but then stepping into adventure, like just like, it sounds so much fun. Like it looks really fun.
Yeah. I mean, the pictures turn out great. It's that I can't say that word, justification or whatever.
There you go.
Like,
got it.
This doesn't belong, but that's what makes it stick out. And like, that's why it looks so beautiful. Like it's kind of just like this really funny thing.
It's so fun. And you just like, you've created this magical opportunity for people. And we'll get into a little bit more about your clients and things, but let's talk about you and how all of this came to be, because you have quite a story from, you know, the early days of your photography classes, to kind of stepping into your adventure, like full on. Like take us back. Like how did this all start and where did your adventure spirit come from?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, I grew up in Ohio, so I grew up in the Midwest, northern rural Ohio, so lots of cornfields. I grew up on a farm. And I kind of, you know, like grew up watching Indiana Jones movies, all this adventurous stuff, like, you know, looking at the calendar, like, you know, the national parks calendars, like seeing like these different landscapes, like on my grandma's wall, you know, like, and stuff that I'd never seen before. Cause I never traveled really as a child. We never been west of Indiana up until post college. And, really, I didn't want to stick around. Like I wanted to figure out like what else was around. Like I didn't want to just stay in Ohio. Like I wanted to be a photographer and I wanted to take epic photos. And like the opportunity for epic photos of just like, it's a little bit limited if I was going to stick there. So I thought if I want to take epic photos, which was really something a professor in my first photo class told me that kind of stuck. Never went away. He said, if you want to make epic photos, Mal, you got to do epic shit.
Like, I mean, words of wisdom from a photography professor in college.
It's like, you know, honestly, he was so right. It's like, so after college, I was like, okay, if I want to make epic photos, I got to go start doing epic stuff with my life. Like, I can't just like stay here. So I think the first move I did, the first week after I got my diploma, I just gave away all my stuff and I put whatever fit in the back of my Kia Sportage at the time in there, and I drove across the country to the Grand Canyon. And I, you know, didn't have any money, just got out of school, didn't have like any, you know, like I was just trying to be a photographer. Like I didn't have any jobs lined up. I wasn't trying to get any, like, you know, it's like I gotta make money somehow. So I did get a job in the Grand Canyon once I arrived. I was just working 8 hours a day, selling really expensive water bottles to tourists and folding t-shirts. And then as soon as, you know, I would get off the clock, me and all my friends, we'd hit the trails and I was just like trying to make all these pictures, like epic photos of them. And we did all of these really, I mean, I did every trail on the South Rim that summer. And yeah, I just got to really be mind blown by a whole other world once I got out there. And you just see, okay, there's so much more. And what you thought was there, now you become so much smaller. And I became so much smaller because I mean, the West is huge and the landscapes are grand, and I'm in one of the world wonders, and it's like it was blowing my brains.
Yeah. Now I'm curious. So you grew up in rural Ohio, cornfields, you know, you've kind of seen all these pictures and you kind of set out on this journey to go kind of experience it for real. I'm wondering if there was like a moment where like it all became like really real for you? Like, was there some landscape or something that you saw that just popped for you and, kind of kept you
Yeah.
going?
I think like when it became really real was when I got to the Grand Canyon. Like I just offloaded all my stuff, and did they get like if you get a job there, they put you in a little dorm. So I was living in this little dorm right there on the South Rim. And I just unpacked all my stuff, and I was like looking at a map, and I was like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna do my first hike, and I'm gonna do a solo hike. I've never really hiked before, to be
Yeah.
honest, like
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
And and for that matter, no solo hiking. Like I was like, but here I am in this like World Wonder National Park, and I'm like here for who knows how long. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this solo hike, and I find this trail that goes all the way down to the bottom of the canyon. It's like the only one that goes to the river, and then I can come back up, and I, can do like this whole day loop. I was like, oh, that looks sick. Okay, I'm gonna do that. So I like pack my bag, get all my snacks and my water in the morning, and like I sat down on the South Kaibab Trail, and I don't know if, I mean, we shared on the phone that
Yeah.
you've actually done
Yep.
this loop.
Yep.
I
Exactly.
mean, I'm going down this trail. I had no expectations, or like my mind to what I thought I would see was so much smaller than what I actually saw. And like, that's what I mean is like your mind starts to expand. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit, like this is crazy. And like, as you're going down, you're just like, your mind is getting more and more and more just like blown by the greatness and the vastness that's around you, like this beauty that like you can't like describe through the photo, like the photos
Yeah.
that I saw on my grandma's wall, like, or the movies that I saw growing up. Like it's in front of your eyes, and like it's just, that's when it becomes real. And yeah, I get down to the river, and like I took my clothes off, jumped down, skinny dipped in the Colorado River, and so much to the day that's how I got baptized, Grandma.
Baptized in Colorado.
I came out of that river and I was a different person. Like that was like, I was new. Like now there was like a whole another side of this. Like I can push limits. Like I can do things that I don't think I can, because here I am and I'm doing this. And this is amazing. Like, why would
That's
I not?
a pretty great start though. Like to go from the flat cornfields of Ohio to like all of a sudden you're in the Grand Canyon. Matter of fact, you're at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Just briefly, can we touch on this? Like, you got baptized in the Colorado River. You came out a new person. What did that feel like?
I feel like, like really, if I remember correctly, very light. Like I feel like maybe that is where I realized I don't have to live a conventional life. Like,
Mm,
like, because after that, it was like, there was no, like, like I was just graduating college, and here I am, like the pressure to get a full-time job. All my friends are getting these full-time jobs. I'm like, dude, I just want to go to the Grand Canyon. Like, and I want to become a photographer. And like, you feel like, oof, these weights of like, maybe I should do the thing that everybody else is doing, or like the thing that's normal, or the thing that's standard and conventional. But
yeah.
like, I feel like when I came out and when I got to the top, like, especially even after, like when you get back to the top, like, you've done it, like, you just like, no, I can do anything. And I can do what I don't have to listen. I don't have to listen to the standard norms. Like I can figure this out. Like I can figure out whatever it is that I need to figure out, and I can live
Yeah.
this the way that I want to live.
Yeah. It's amazing. And then maybe we'll kind of come back to this too, but I want this professor tells you if you want to take epic photos, you got to do epic shit. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of a mantra that stuck with you your whole life and through this entire experience.
Yes, because the Grand Canyon was really just the start. That was the first decision I made, and I based it off of that mantra. And then I think it's just like you just, once you kind of you open your hands up to what comes, I'll say yes to if it's epic, because
Yeah.
I'm trying to be an epic photographer over here, and I got to do epic stuff. So if I'm trying to live that way, then just say yes to the epic things that like set epic doors that open. And that's really just all that it came down to, is like, I think everybody has opportunities, they just say no to them because they don't think it's for real. But like, I don't know. Like I had a friend out of the Grand Canyon. She was my roommate for a little bit, and we shared the little dormitory there on the rim. And then she got a job with Flagstaff American Airlines or something down there. And so she went down there to get to work for them, and they get like a travel pass
Yeah.
to give somebody, and it's better than a buddy pass because you like are their preferred traveler. They don't even have to be there with you. It's unlimited. It's like their spouse or family or
Yep.
friend. So anyway, since she didn't have any spouse or friends or family that like to travel, she gave it to me. And so for 2 years, I could just jump on planes wherever and go wherever I wanted and explore the world for nothing.
That's
as long
amazing.
as there was an open seat on the plane, I could get on it. And a lot of times I wouldn't even really know where I was going to go. What I would just show up to the airport and see where it was open and what kind of clothes I had packed, and how that if that would be a good spot, and I'd just jump on and I'd go and I'd find a really cool hike or something to do once I got there, because I was still broke. So, I was still just coming out of college working. I'd just been folding t-shirts since then. And so yeah, but it worked out like amazingly, because you always find people, especially when you're traveling, you always find people who and when you're always like just open, you always find people, and things always seem to just like work out if you just go for it.
Yeah. See, so you've had a couple of people that have come into your life here that have helped you with your journey. Where were some of the places you got to go on this travel pass?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in the Middle East. I did some Israel and Egypt, backpacking around there. That was really sick, in the Sinai Peninsula. And then I did a lot in Europe. I did Spain. I did Ireland, New Zealand, and then Costa Rica was a big one. I went to Costa Rica a lot, so a lot of just And then the last place I went, because she did get a boyfriend eventually, and then I knew that I was gonna get switched over to him. So I knew I had one spot that I could go that I haven't explored yet. So I was like, maybe I'll check out like Hawaii, because I haven't been there, and this might be my only chance, to check a spot out. So I went to Hawaii, and like I was down at this waterfall that I'd heard about that you could like jump off of, and so I was down there and hanging out, and this photographer walks down, and he's got like a couple clients and a couple people with him. I don't know, their clients, some models, and they're setting up on this waterfall. He's like taking photos, and it's like, I wonder what he's doing. Looks like he's making some epic pics. I should probably go talk to him, because that's what I'm trying to do. And so I went over and I talked to I was just like, hey, so what's going on over here? What are you doing? And he's like, oh, I just started this company. I'm teaching adventure photography workshops, and we're just taking pictures of these models on the waterfall. I'm teaching them how to do slow shutter speed and all this stuff. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I was like, yeah, I take photos too. I was like, I'm sure you hear that all the time every time you set up in public. Oh yeah, I'm a photographer too. I mean, it's a going thing. Yeah. Cool. What are you shooting with, a Rebel? Cool. And so you just kind of like, but I was like, no, I think what you're doing is really inspiring. And we became Facebook friends, and like that was the extent of that meeting. And I went back to the mainland, just like super psyched on what he was doing. I thought that was so cool. Here he was making a living taking epic pics.
Yeah.
And I was out there taking epic pics. I was doing the work. I was building the portfolio. But at the end of the day, I was going back to work at a studio taking yearbook photos to make my bills meet at that time. And so I'm just like going back to San Diego. At this time, I'd moved from the Grand Canyon to San Diego, and that's where I was working in a studio taking yearbook photos. And so I go back from Hawaii after this last trip, and I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. Like, I got to figure out how to do that. Like, I got to figure out how to make money doing this, what he's doing. And so now that I couldn't travel anymore because my friend gave the pass to her new partner, I was like, what am I going to do in between these yearbook seasons? Like, because normally there's like a 4-month period, and normally for that 4-month period, I go travel. And so I was like, well, I need to take this 4 months to not come back to the yearbook season. I need to take these 4 months to figure out how to do what that guy in Hawaii was doing, because like I knew I can do it.
Right.
No, I can do anything. Like if we talked about that earlier, it's just that how do you make that happen? And so that would be really cool. I was like, let's go do something crazy. Like I feel like when you do crazy epic stuff, like that's when the creativity kind of like kicks in.
That's what your professor told you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll just go with what he said.
Yeah.
And so I came up with I came up with this trail that I wanted to do. I'd never done a long kind of through hike before ever. I thought, oh, maybe I'll try like a longer hike. And I want to try to be out there for like an extended amount of time, like a wilderness trip. Like I want to be out there for like 40 days and 40 nights, because that seems like a lot of good stuff has come out of like that number. Really, like, I don't know. Like I know it's in the Bible a lot. I think it's in logic. It's a historical.
Yeah.
I feel like 40 days, you're getting disconnected.
Yeah.
And stuff is going to there's going to be some changes in your head. And definitely. So I picked the John Muir Trail. And so
Nice.
I didn't do it by myself. I did find somebody to do it with me. And the two of us started in Yosemite Valley on day 1, did Half Dome on the first night of our camping. And then sunset, we had it all to ourselves. It was sick.
Wow.
And then day 40 we summited Mount Whitney and slept up there. It was the coldest night of my life, and came down on day 40. And we only had cell phone reception on day 10 when we were on Mammoth, and for 30 days I didn't know what was happening. It was amazing.
That's amazing. That's on my bucket list for sure, to do the John Muir Trail. I love that. All of it, Half Dome, Mount Whitney, and then everything in between.
Oh yeah.
What happened to you during those 40 days and 40 nights?
I think it's just like it's hard to explain what happens. You become hyper focused and hyper aware of just your day-to-day like capabilities, because it's so funny, you really become focused on surviving,
Nice.
and getting to your next goal. Like really, through hiking is all about strategy and how you're getting to the next goal. And I think that's really why I love that, because it's a lot of strategizing, and I feel like in life, especially in business and entrepreneurship, and it's like getting to that next goal, getting to that next mark. Like, what's the next thing you got to do to get there? And that is really what I found in this very first longer hike, longer trek, being out there for 40 days, 4 nights. Because you can't just drive up to the Walmart and buy cold food, and you're just and you can't you got to strategize. Okay, the next water source is this far away, and I want to hike with this much water. So it's just a lot of figuring out your day-to-day and how to get to the next mile marker.
You said you got baptized in the Colorado River, right? You became a new person. Then you go do this 40 days and 40 nights. I'm just curious if there was any part of that 40 days and 40 nights that for you was a sort of a spiritual experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always because there's a thing called trail angeling. I don't know if you've heard of trail angeling before. Yeah, so that is something that I think happens throughout your life. You have trail angels that drop in. I think you even call them spiritual something.
The supernatural aid, which is part of the hero's journey, which is something that we talk about a lot on this podcast. Yeah, trail angels. I love it.
Yeah. So trail angels, you have these crazy things that happen where you're dude, if that didn't happen, I'd probably be dead, or not where or maybe not dead, but not where I'm at right now. Yeah. And so these happen all along the trail. You become super aware of these I'm this is beyond myself kind of thing, these feelings. So you become super aware of those moments, and then I think when you get back into society, you become more aware of those those moments when they happen to you in the day-to-day life. So you don't just take everything for granted, even when you do have them available. That makes sense.
It does. And I want to talk a little bit more about these supernatural aids or these trail angels that we're talking about. But before we do, what happened when you got off of Mount Whitney?
Oh, well, yeah. So it was funny. So I'm just out there walking day to day, trying to really not focusing on. It's funny because you can especially get fixed. I can get fixated on how do I make this happen? How do I make this happen? Like, and you try to control what you can't really control sometimes. And when you get out on the trail, you don't control much. Like, you're in the elements out there. And so it's more of a survival, and you're more thinking and you're more meditating on the day to day, that like, it really was just a meditation of like the day to day. And like, it's funny because when I got back, it was like, I opened up my email and I had an invitation to come back to Kauai and work for this photographer that I met just a couple months ago before
the guy at the waterfall.
And it's like, that's the stuff that just happens when you just go and you just do. Like, you just go and you do, and you don't come fixated on like, you know, what can you control, because a lot of things you can't control. You just got to go out there and keep doing like what you think is like the sickest stuff that will lead you to the next point, and then it will. It just will, if you trust it.
It's so cool. So you know, we talked about your professor that gave you this mantra. If you want to take epic photos, you got to go do epic shit. And then you have this friend that sort of shows up for you and has these travel passes that allow you to just go experience the world. Truly. I mean, it's just this person, but like, and then you meet this person in Hawaii and you go do this 40-day and 40-night journey on the John Muir Trail. And then you come back and this photography guy from Kauai, he's kind of this supernatural aid that just all of a sudden shows up for you. And I think what's interesting is like in this idea of the hero's journey that we talked about, it's this concept developed by Joseph Campbell. He talks about how when you step into your adventure, there will be supernatural aids that will show up along the way, but they don't appear until you say yes and step in.
Yes.
You know, otherwise, like if they show up before you've said yes, you know, it just doesn't work that way.
No,
so I just want to.
It's like, yeah, to even build a greater exaggeration. So let me give you an example on like, I'll give you a very concrete example of one that had like a trail angel that I have met on the PCT. So not actually the John Muir. So this is another hike, but this is just the very first one that pops because it was the hardest. It was the most amazing one I think I've ever experienced. Is I had been hiking. So I'd already set, like I said, you can have strategy, but when you're in the elements, you can't control anything. So like I had the strategy to set up my campsite around 10 miles, like around 1 p.m. And I was like, okay, in 10 miles, there's going to be this river, this campsite. I'm looking at my gut hooks. I'm like, this is where I'm going to camp tonight. I cross over a pass like 1 mile after I make this decision, and it's smoke. The whole mountain forest is on fire. I'm just outside of Crater Lake. And so I'm like, oh, I can't set up in this fire. like everything's on fire. And I'm asking the hikers coming this way. They're like, we don't know. There's no cell phone reception. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not going to stop hiking in this fire forest. There's helicopters dumping water. And it was so funny. You couldn't see anything or smell anything on the other side of the pass. But like, as soon as I crossed over, you're like coming down into this like forest fire. And the only way out is through it. And so I'm like, I guess I'm just like hike through this fire. So to get to Crater Lake, I was another 28 miles. And everybody had said that once you get up into Crater Lake, there's a water stash. And so water stash is like where there's a bunch of water sitting at the trail that a trail angel is like. So I'm like, I will just hike all the way to that, because I know once I get to Crater Lake, I will be out of danger and I'll know what's going on. They'll be like, but I'm just going to go. So I hiked from it was like 1 p.m. when I started, and I did another 20 miles. And then I got to Crater Lake that night. I was like so dead. I'd like went all of that on like 2 liters of water and like no food. Like I like just ran it. And then I like get down into the parking lot and there's no water cache. And it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and nothing's open in the park. And I was just like, okay, I'm so thirsty. But I guess I'm just gonna like sit down here and put my like clothes on. And as I'm sitting down in the parking lot, like putting on all my layers, and I was just gonna like go sleep under the tree, this like van pulls in. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. This like van pulls into this parking lot and like pulls in this parking space. And I was, oh dude, I wonder if he's got water. So like I like deliriously like stumble over this guy's van at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, hey, it's like, do you have any water? Like, and he like puts his window down. He's like, yeah. He's like, are you a PCT hiker? And I was like, yeah, I just got in. There's like a forest fire. So I hiked all through it. Like, and he's like, yeah. He hands me 2 gallons of water and 2 PBRs. He was like, please. He was like, I'll be here in the morning. My son's coming in the morning, and I'll have donuts and coffee. He's also
Oh
doing
my
it.
gosh.
And so like, it's just say like, just like the most amazing. Like, I was so thankful for that man. But had a random person just give me a couple gallons of water and a couple cheap like beers,
Yeah,
like
no kidding.
the weight of that moment when they show up, like that's like why, like that's the beauty of a trail angel. Like their presence and what they have for you is only valuable because of the spot you're in.
Yeah. But you have to say yes and do it first.
Yeah, you'd never be in that situation in the first place. I would have never been like needing
Yeah.
that man to show up like that if I wasn't
Oh,
out there doing it.
it's so amazing. Okay, Mal, I'm going to ask you to compress the rest of the story so we can come back to Vows with Views. So take us from this 40 days and 40 nights, the email that you have from the photographer in Kauai. I know it's a lot, but let's see if we can compress that to where we are today.
Where we're at today. Okay. Basically what happened was I moved to Hawaii. Basically, I got that email from him and I was like, I had like $20 left in my bank account. And I was like, dude, bro, I gotta just sell my car and I'll be there. I'll buy my ticket and I'll be there. Yes, let's do this. So I show up 2 weeks later after I sell my Kia, and I lived there for 10 years and I'm apprenticing under him. He's teaching me a lot about business and a lot about, I'm teaching photography, and I'm just getting really good. I'm making this amazing quiet portfolio just from being out there. And editors start to pick up. I start to like get work with them. And so I'm shooting for like all the publications in Hawaii for like in like the first couple years I start living there. And then through that, like couples, I don't know, like I didn't have a wedding site or anything, but like couples were seeing my work in Hawaiian Airlines and they were like contacting me on my like landscape website, and they're like, hey, you have epic photos, like we're coming to Kauai and we decided we want to elope and we're looking for somebody to make epic photos of us. Like we just want to have like, we're not about the cheesy like sunset on the beach stuff. Like we want epic photos. And I was like, I can do that. And so I thought it was weird, but I started doing that. And like one couple reached out, and then like randomly, I had like, before I even put together a website or decided to like do it as like a business, like I was getting multiple people hitting me up. And I was like, this must be a need. So I was like, I guess I'll put together a website. So I put together a website, and it kind of Vows with Views. I came up with it. Yeah, Vows with Views is the name I came up with. I launched it, and it was like wildfire. It's like boom. Like I don't know. I was booked out in 2020, completely booked out. Like no wiggle room, no space. And in March, COVID kind of hit, and none of my clients could get there. So all of our couples were coming from the mainland, and we were closed. And so I spent 10 years at this point building this, this space for me to finally make a living making epic photos. And like I felt like my world was like, it was just like stopping. Like, you feel like, how I worked so hard, like how is this all? And so I couldn't give it up. I stayed. You're paying overhead, you're like, oh no, this COVID thing is not gonna be like forever. And like, so you stick around, and the money starts to go pretty fast when you can't make it and you live in Hawaii and you can't like elope anybody and you can't run your business. So eventually I got down to the month, it was like September, and I was like, all right, I either got to shut Vows with Views down or I got to figure out another way to make it happen. And too stubborn to shut it down. So I decided I would buy a one-way ticket to Portland and rent a car for 6 weeks and drive around and figure out new spaces in the mountains and in the desert where I could still elope people. And so that's what I did. I bought a one-way ticket to Portland like that night that I came up with that idea, and rented a car. And yeah, like it was funny. I wrote REI with a lot of people, and I like told them my like situation. I was like, look, this is my business, this is my situation, this is what I'm doing. And I didn't like really expect to hear back because I know they're like a big company and they got a lot going on. But I did hear back. Like Not from their corporate, but from the person who retrieved their email in corporate. And he wrote me back and he's like, dude, we don't have any like scholarship money, but I work at the headquarters in Seattle, and you said you're flying into Portland. I'm more than happy. Like anything you need for this trip, anything that would help you make this transition like smooth, like let's make a wish list, baby. And I'll come down and we'll put it on, and I'll get you my discount, and I'll look it up. And I was like,
Crazy.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that. Sorry if I'm getting you in trouble. We won't say names, but I was like, oh my
Another
gosh.
supernatural aid.
Yeah, so he came down and met me in Portland, and I got all of the stuff to live comfortably out of my car for the next 6 months. And I hit the road, and yeah, that's when I kind of did all my scouting. I found this place in Colorado and all places in the desert. Went back to the Grand Canyon, and I kind of launched Vows with Views on the mainland, and I started shooting here. And what I noticed was these elopement trips here were a little bit different, or I saw more opportunity than what I had maybe even originally saw in Hawaii. And that was, I noticed couples were coming out west, and it kind of like it kind of like was putting me back in my shoes of like coming out of college. I was coming out west for the first time. My mind was getting blown. Like I was seeing things and doing things for the first time that expanded my mind and what I, knew was what I was capable of. And that was really valuable to me. And I started to see that this is what was happening with our clients. And I wanted to build trips that really worked that aspect, because I realized I love that. And I love that maybe even more than the photography side of it. Like now it's like, yeah, the photos are the byproduct of this adventure I get to like take you on, and like getting to take them on these like and show them these like experiences where it's like really where I was like, okay, we need to expand this elopement day into these elopement trips. And I was like, what's the best way to do that? Let's get nature-based lodging. So I bought an Airstream 2 years ago. No, this is year 3. This is season 3 for Bambi.
Love it.
I was like, that's the best way to get them outside, like it is their wedding, so we won't make them like pitch a tent, but like I do want to get them in the elements. Like I do want to get them out of the hotel room. I do want them to see real Sedona. I want them to see like these authentic places, because I feel like I lived in touristy places all of my life, and there's one side that's the commercial side, this side that you're gonna stay in and eat at if you're a normal tourist, and then there's the dirtbag authentic, like the local side. It's like, well, we know it's like it's the places we want to share with people, and that's what I wanted to share with people. I wanted to share the real side to these like destinations, and I thought
it's magic.
Camping trips. Let's go camping.
It's amazing, though. Can you tell me about the Airstream?
Yeah, so the Bambi Airstream, she's just a little cute 16-foot, so she can go anywhere. Really, I get her anywhere. But yeah, it's kind of just a little base camp that I have and I set up for our couples, so that they really get this like campfire. We get to sit around the fire at night. They're out of the hotel room. They're in the desert. They're in the mountains. They're under the stars. They're really getting to take in more of an immersive experience. And that is really, I mean, these immersive like experiences are really what builds, I think, unique perspectives on the land like itself, which is another thing that I really want to encourage. Is I want to get people psyched on the space they're in, and not just the photos that they get out of them.
It's so funny. So the couple stays in the Airstream. Where are you?
I'm in my tent.
Right.
Usually, yeah. I have a truck conversion, and I have a tent, so I kind of live that. I have a very, very minimalist lifestyle. The more is less, or the less is more. Sorry, I said that backwards. Less is more for me. So I vote everything that ever since I came back from Hawaii. So this is year 5 of living full time on the road. Everything has fit in the back of my car that I own, and most of that is my business. My stuff's are my business. And I have some climbing gear.
Tell me about your clients. Who are your clients? Is there a typical client, or tell me about that.
Yeah, we really have 2 typical kind of like clients, but I think they share the same desired. And so we have like these younger kind of couples, adventurous couples who they're super outdoorsy. This is their vibe. They love camping together. Like this is what they so this is just kind of like magnifying what they already
Yep.
love to do together.
Yep.
And that is kind of like our one clients that we see the most, and they want to do something new. They want to go somewhere that they haven't been before, and they want to try rappelling, or they want to try climbing, or they want to run a canyon for the first time. Like this is something that like, yeah, we really like, this is the trip for them. And then we also get, which I love, these ones that we get even more, I think, is these second marriages in these later in adult lives.
Nice.
Where like maybe this is their first marriage, but they're just later in life, and they never made the trip out west. They never did that. Or maybe they've been on vacation, but they never had this like experiential vacation where they've never got out in the elements out here. And at this age, like it's really fun, like when they're in their 50s and stuff, to like put them on a rope. I mean, like that, like, I mean, when you're in your 30s, you're like, this is fun and adventurous, like, yeah. Like, but 50-year-olds, like, that's where you see like the most psych. Like, they're like, holy, I can do this. Like, and they're like, yeah, you can. Like, and so those have been really fun for us. So really it's our couple both of those couples though, they share that same kind of like value of experiencing. They want to experience something together that's going to bond them in a new way, in a deeper way.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about too, because, one of the things that I love about adventure is doing it with other people because of the bond that you create through, a lot of the adventure, it's unknown, right? So it's scary, but there's usually some element of challenge and overcoming, like, getting outside of your comfort zone and doing hard things. And when we do these things, there's just this bond that gets created. So I just wanted to kind of get your take on this idea of shared experience and these bonds that get created during that shared experience.
Yeah. Like it's funny because I have been running an elopement business for over 10 years, and I'm a single lady and probably always will be. But like what I know from all of my like deepest relationships with all of the people that I have met in every season of my life, it comes from doing crazy shit with them. Like, it's like these people that I've maybe met, and like the people in the Grand Canyon, like these people I will remember, like I'm closer with some of them than the people that I grew up with my entire life, like because of the experiences we had together. And same with like the people that are in the season now that I'm in the season prior, like the things that I've done with people, like the guy that I did the John Muir, the 40 days, like we will be brother and sister for life. Like there's like no bonds, like these bonds go deep. Like the more you do with somebody where you are relying on each other and you're really like out of your comfort zone and you're like pushing like new challenges and overcoming new challenges, like together, like that's where you grow together. Like that's how you grow. You can't really grow if you're not pushing yourself, because otherwise you're just staying right there. But when you grow, you're like coming up out of the ground. And you do that doing.
Why do you think that happens now? Like, why do you think that bond is able to take shape?
Why do because you become really, I think all humility is broken down when you become in need of the other person. Like when you, I think a lot of we wear like just like maybe, I don't know if a mask is the right word, but we have like a shell, and like that shell gets ripped open when you're out there. And I think you wear your heart on your sleeve when you need somebody. And I don't know, that's where
I love that. I mean, what an amazing way to start a relationship, a married life together. Like, what an amazing life.
It's as real as you can get, man.
So, I mean, I'm curious, like, is there any like stories of transformation you can share? Like things that you've witnessed your clients kind of go through on one of these adventures?
Yeah. Like there's always the comments that make me glow inside when I overhear them saying like Like I heard one, like there's like this couple, we took them on this multi-pitch for sunset up this desert tower, and we were like rapping down at night, and the Milky Way was just like over, like, and they're coming down with their headlamps, and like I'm already down at the bottom because I've got them on fireman's belay, and I'm just like sitting and I'm listening to them talk to each other, and like he's just like, babe, can you believe this we did for our wedding? Like, can you believe what we're, and then you're just hearing them just like that, like makes me glow when you are hearing their psych and like they can't believe that they're doing this. Like that's really powerful for me. And like yeah, like this other guy that we just eloped, it was super cool. We did a summit with them and we were on top of it. And I mean, I felt like, I mean, this the guy, he's been in the military, he's done some stuff in his life. He's in his 40s, and he was like, Mal, I have to tell you, this is the coolest thing that I've ever done. Like in my life. Like I've never thought like there's something like this out here. It's like that stuff is really cool. And then like another, like something recently, we had a guy that we just did a canyoneering route, a technical rappelling route, that had type 1 diabetes, and even recently he'd barely been able to walk and see. He was blind for like months. Like and now he can see, but he can walk a little bit, but it's still like crazy. And his doctor said he would never be able to do anything like what we did with them. And they got to do it on their, like the day after they eloped, the first, like that's how they got to celebrate their marriage. And he was in tears. Like he came down, and like we got back to the truck, and he was just like, I never thought like I'd be able to do something like that. And so it comes from like not believing, like saying this is the best thing that I've ever done, to like I never even thought I could do that. Like like I think those are the really thing, like I don't know, those are some just,
and that's got to be, it's got to be really awesome for you. I mean, they're creating this shared experience with each other as they tie the knot and, you know, start their lives together, but you get to be part of that, you know, and you're always going to be part of that bond.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Like even now, like, and where I want to kind of keep growing the business, and I see it growing because we're launching this summer now, reunion trips. So like couples who already eloped with us, we got 2 coming up this month. I'm so excited. So this is the first summer we're doing them, but like they're like, we gotta come back out and see you and do this again. Like we gotta like, and so a couple that they're celebrating their 1-year anniversary. We eloped them in Oregon last year. They're going to
awesome.
Colorado, and so like yeah, like getting to be like a part of this growing, and like getting like this isn't just a one and done like thing. Like this is the start of like, you know, like let's keep getting out there.
Yeah, I love this so much. So there's one thing I wanted to kind of ask you about, you know, and maybe it's more elopement specific, but like I just love what you're doing, and I think it's so cool to be able to bring a couple together and put them in these epic situations that, you know, again, it's what an amazing way to start a relationship together and to start a life together, like bonds and memories that you're never ever going to forget. And I think it's amazing. And I'm sure that there's going to be so many people that are listening to this, like, wow, that's incredible. And then they go to your website and they see the photography and the landscapes, and it's like, it's mind blowing. But I can imagine that some people are going to have, you know, the thought that runs through their mind, like, oh, if I went and did this, like my family would kill me. Right. Because I think, you know, for a lot of people, part of a wedding is about tradition and, you know, being surrounded by friends and family that are there to support you in your journey and celebrate with you. Right. And then, and be, that support network that's going to help you in the hard times, like kind of going forward. And that's, you know, sort of the purpose of the wedding, like in the first place. So I guess I'm curious, like, how do we bridge that gap? How do people go do this amazing thing that's really about them as a couple and creating that amazing bond, but yet being able to share it with their family and their friends?
Yeah, definitely. So that is, and like, that is something that even during the COVID, like when this kind of like erupted on the mainland, when I came over here, that was not even like, that was just the issue in general, was like people couldn't have weddings. So like, how do they celebrate with their family? And they're coming up with all these weird, like screen ways, which I've never been into the screen way, like screen time, like, I mean, whatever. So like, I wanted to come up with different ways that were maybe more just I don't know, could also keep people also present. So like
Yeah.
like our couples are coming out on this trip to celebrate and be out here. Like I don't want them to be like, is there going to be cell phone connection to like
Right.
put my screen up so that we
Right.
can, mom and dad can maybe see us. Like no, let's come up with it. Let's come up with some other ways. Like, and so one way that I think has been really, really, really fun to do with our couples is we have them send out send the date instead of send the dates, they send out, hey, elopement announcements, and this is how we really want you to be there, be a part of our day. Like, and this, like, we really, 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 really want to hear from you. We like, and more than just like you showing up, like we want your wisdom, we want your encouragement, we want your words. Like, what, anything, can you please write us a letter that we can read during this trip together, like that we can sit around the fire and we can like open up and that we can cherish for the rest of our lives. Like, and it won't be like you just have a seat at our wedding. Like you will have like this time that is dedicated to like us hearing like whatever you have to say to us. Like that is like, so like, yeah. And we get couples who get hundreds of letters to open up during their whole trip, like from all of their friends and family. And like, I feel like that way, not only one, it's a keepsake that's authentic that they get to keep from that person for the rest of their lives. Like
Yeah.
it's more than just a seat at a venue. Like it's these moments and these wisdoms that person gets to share with the couple. And yeah, so that's been one way. And then the other way is they still like to still be able to celebrate is to come back. So like we've been basically it's been the flip. So like they come out, we do this trip, they have the adventure of their lifetimes. They still do all the letters with all their friends. So the letters still get to be present during that day when they make that commitment. And then when they get back, they get to like have all of those photos and all of those memories. If they do video with us too, like they get to share the video and they get to like share that with all of their friends and families at a backyard barbecue. They still are like at a venue. Like some of them do like reception halls or breweries or whatever. And they just throw a big party with everybody. And like, that's what it's about. It's about like, everybody just wants to celebrate with you. Like that commitment moment, like, dude, like, let's do that. And like, let's still celebrate with everybody. You can still have both of best worlds. Like you can still do it your way and you can still do it the other way. Like
100%. It's such an awesome both and, because like I think one of the things with like the traditional wedding is, it tends to end up being so much more about like what other people want, right? And it's like their
exactly
expectations of you, and what you're doing allows you to bring kind of that both and, like have that shared experience where it's just focused on you and the couple, and then you have the time to celebrate afterwards. And you can come back and share like this epic adventure that you have with the photos and everything that y'all do when you're on the trip. It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely wanted to bridge that gap because I think it is very, very important to celebrate with your family, but it is very important to not just do it for your family.
I love it. It's so awesome. Mal, you seem like somebody that is like fully living your passion. And I would love to just kind of, get your kind of thoughts on that. Like when you kind of look back and, you took off from Ohio, like when you reflect, like what are some of the lessons that you've learned, and like how do you feel about this life that you've created for yourself? And then I guess from there we'll go like, what's next?
I've never known another way, I guess. I mean, there's always like there's always the dog, the dog days, like where you're just like, you feel like an underdog, or you don't know how, like, you feel like you don't know where the next page, like if you're going to have enough bookings for that. There's always like this uncertainty, but like, if you're always doing what you love, then like, it doesn't matter. Like you don't need a lot. Like, so yeah, I don't know. You just keep living and doing the things that you love and doing the things that you know are right, and things are just, I don't know. You live your life.
So when you look back to that person that left Ohio to go to the Grand Canyon, like what are like some of the key lessons that you've sort of learned along the way as you kind of look like in hindsight, looking back?
Say yes to adventure when it presents itself. Like, don't write it off like you can't. Like, don't make an excuse. If you make one excuse, you'll make two excuses, and then you make three excuses, and then the excuses will get easier and easier and easier to make. But if you just like don't make excuses and you just like do the hard thing, like, and choose, like, sometimes the hard thing is choosing adventure, like, because you don't know, because adventure comes with risk, and risks can be hard to take. But if you're just like, no, I'm just gonna take the risk and I'm gonna dive into this adventure, and I think that it will lead you into a very adventurous life. And if you want a very adventurous life, then just keep saying yes to the
Say
risk.
yes. I love it. It's brilliant. Mal, how can people find out more about you, follow you, or go on a honeylope adventure with you?
Yeah, our website's probably the best resource. It's vowswithviews.com. And then we have a Instagram as well, which is vows_with_views. Yeah, it's fun. We are gonna also be launching some summer surprise proposal trips that we're partnering with our buddies over here at base camp in Uray. So if you're not engaged, if you're not engaged, you're not looking to honeylope, but you want to maybe pop the question this summer.
Oh,
Yeah, they're called Sengagements, and we're really excited.
nice.
Partnering, there's some Via Ferratas here, which I don't know if you Via Ferrata routes and canyoneering routes and stuff that we're gonna be basically photographing, documenting people.
Amazing. So that's kind of like the next evolution of what y'all are doing. It's not just about reloping anymore.
I think so. I think it's finding other ways to connect with people, connect with couples, like these reunion trips. I would love to launch some anniversary trips and some vow renewal trips. Like, I mean, it's really just about getting people out here. Like, marriage is like the first vehicle, but like if we can start earlier, like let's go with the engagement. Let's get them out sooner.
So fun. Please check out vowswithviews.com or go to their Instagram. You've got to see the visual side of this. You can listen to us talk, but you're a stunning photographer. The pictures are just amazing. And I think people are going to have a lot of fun when they check out your website. And Mal, like your story, just the whole thing, and we kind of only scratched the surface. I'm sure there's a lot more to this, but like, from leaving Ohio to going to the Grand Canyon and then traveling all around the world and Hawaii and all these people that you've met and that have helped you along the way, it's an epic story. And so you're doing the epic shit and taking great photos, right? And at some point, Hollywood is going to pick up on your story. They're going to want to make a movie about you. And when they do, I want to know who's going to be the Hollywood actress that's going to play you.
I don't know. It's so funny. I would hope it'd be Sandra Bullock because she's such a badass.
She
always plays a badass, and she's always super stubborn. I feel like I'm very stubborn and she's confident. She knows.
Love it.
So that'd be
Sandra
great.
Bullock. What's your movie going to be called?
Yeah, I think it should be called maybe like The Dirtbag Underdog, I think.
Love it. That's great. The Dirtbag Underdog starring Sandra Bullock. How fun.
Yeah. You can travel the world, you can do all this amazing stuff. You don't have you don't have to come from a lot of resources, and you don't have to have a lot of resources.
So fun. Sage wisdom. Mal, this has been such a fun conversation. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And for those listening, I hope you've been inspired today as much as I have. I hope Mal's story has encouraged you to listen to the voice inside that calls you to adventure, because we want to hear your story next. If you have a story to tell or just need a nudge to create one, please send me an email. We'd also appreciate it if you'd help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing or tagging Inspire Campfire in your social media. And until next time, I want to encourage you to get outside. Thanks for listening. Mal, thank you so much for being here.
Totally. Thanks for having me, Scott.